Stand in one spot for 30 minutes. Do not move. Just stand there. By the end, your legs ache, your lower back is tight, your feet are throbbing, and you feel strangely drained. Now go for a 30-minute walk instead. You cover a mile, maybe 2. Your muscles do far more physical work. You burn nearly 3 times the energy. And somehow, you finish feeling better than when you started. This makes no sense. Standing still is doing almost nothing. Walking is doing something. So why does the nothing wear you down and the something wake you up? You have felt this your whole life. The cashier who would rather pace behind the register than stand frozen at it. The museum that drains you in an hour when a 5-mile hike would not. The soldier at attention who faints, not from effort, but from holding perfectly still. We treat standing as rest and walking as exertion. The physics of your body says it is the other way around. Today I am going to show you exactly why. And once you see it, you will never think about standing still the same way again. Because what feels like resting is actually one of the most demanding things you can ask your body to do. Let us start with the thing everyone gets wrong, the word tired. When you say standing makes you tired, you are using one word for 2 completely different things. There is whole body tiredness, the kind that comes from burning a lot of fuel, from your heart and lungs working hard, from running up a hill. And there is local tiredness, the kind that lives in one specific muscle, a deep, heavy aching fatigue in one place while the rest of you feels fine. These are not the same. They do not even come from the same cause. And standing produces the second kind in a way that walking almost never does. Here is the proof. Walking burns far more total energy than standing. Your heart beats faster, you breathe harder, you torch real calories. By every measure of whole body effort, walking is the harder activity. And yet it is standing that leaves your legs screaming. So whatever is making you tired when you stand, it is not about how much energy you are burning. It is about something happening locally, inside specific muscles, that has almost nothing to do with calories. To understand it, we have to look at what your muscles are actually doing in each case. And the difference is enormous. So let us look at the first hidden reason, the difference between a muscle that holds and a muscle that moves. There are 2 ways a muscle can work. It can change length, shortening and lengthening to move a bone, the way your bicep does when you curl a weight up and lower it back down. Scientists call that dynamic contraction. Or it can stay exactly the same length, tensing hard but not moving at all, the way your muscles do when you push against a wall that will not budge. That is called static or isometric contraction. Same muscle, 2 completely different jobs. And here is the secret, almost nobody knows. The static job, the holding job, is brutally more punishing than the moving job, even though it looks like less is happening. Try it right now. Make a tight fist and hold it as hard as you can. Do not move it. Just squeeze, and keep squeezing. Watch the clock. Within 30 seconds, your forearm starts to burn. Within a minute, it is shaking. Within 2 minutes, you have to let go. Now shake your hand out, and instead open and close your fist over and over, squeezing and releasing, squeezing and releasing. At a steady rhythm, you can do that for many minutes without much trouble at all. Same muscle, same hand. One version quits in 2 minutes. The other goes on and on. The only difference is that one holds, and the other moves. So what is going on inside that muscle? Why does holding destroy it while moving spares it? The answer is about blood, and it is the key to this entire mystery. A muscle is fed by tiny blood vessels woven all through it, delivering oxygen and sugar, carrying away waste. When a muscle is relaxed, blood flows freely. But when a muscle contracts and tenses, it physically squeezes those vessels. It clamps down on its own plumbing. Now, when you are moving, contracting, and relaxing in a rhythm, this is no problem. Every time the muscle relaxes, the vessels open and the blood rushes back in. Contract, squeeze the blood out, relax, let fresh blood flood in. The motion itself is pumping fresh fuel through the muscle, over and over. Movement keeps the muscle fed. But a static hold never relaxes. It clamps the vessels shut and keeps them shut. The blood that was inside gets squeezed out, and no fresh blood can get back in, because the muscle never releases. Now the muscle is working hard, with the door to its fuel supply jammed shut. It runs through the little oxygen it had left in seconds. Waste products that movement would normally flush away just sit there and pile up. And that pile of waste is exactly what you feel as that deep, hot, aching burn. The muscle is not out of energy in some global sense. It is starving in place, choking on its own exhaust, because it cannot stop holding long enough to take a breath. Now connect that back to standing. When you stand still, the muscles in your calves, your thighs, your hips, your lower back are doing exactly that. A long, static, isometric hold. They tense to keep you upright, and they do not let go, because the moment they let go, you fall down. So they clamp their own blood vessels shut and keep them shut, minute after minute, slowly starving, slowly filling with waste. That is your first answer. Standing still forces your postural muscles into the single most fatiguing kind of work there is, the static hold. And walking by its very nature never does that, because walking is movement, and movement keeps the blood flowing. But this is only the beginning, because there is a second, even bigger problem when you stand still, and it is not happening in your muscles, it is happening in your blood itself. And it comes down to a force you cannot escape, gravity. Picture your circulatory system as a tall, looping network of pipes. Your heart sits up in your chest, pumping blood down to your feet and back up again. Sending blood down is easy. Gravity does that for free. The problem is getting it back up. Your blood has to climb from your feet, against gravity, all the way back to your heart, more than a meter straight up. And here is the thing. Your heart, for all its power, is not strong enough to do that job alone. It can push blood out, but it cannot reach all the way down to your feet and suck it back up against gravity. It needs help. So your body evolved a second pump, and you are standing on it. The muscles of your calves are not just for walking. They are a pump. When they contract, they squeeze the deep veins running through them, and those veins have one-way valves inside, little doors that only open upward. So every time your calf squeezes, it pushes a slug of blood up toward the heart, and the valves snap shut behind it, so it cannot fall back down. Squeeze, push the blood up, relax. The valves hold it in place. Squeeze again, push it higher. Step by step, your calves walk your blood back up to your heart. Doctors actually call your calves your second heart. Without them, the blood in your legs would have no way home. Now you can see the trap. That second heart only works when your calves are moving. When you walk, every single step is a squeeze of that pump, driving blood upward. Hundreds of beats of your second heart with every block you cover. But when you stand perfectly still, the pump stops. Your calves are tensed in a static hold, not rhythmically squeezing. The second heart goes silent, and gravity, which never rests, starts winning. With nothing pumping it back up, blood begins to pool in your legs. It sinks toward your feet and just sits there, collecting in the veins, which stretch and swell to hold it. This is why your legs feel heavy and full when you stand too long. This is why your feet swell, why your shoes feel tight at the end of a long day on your feet, why your ankles puff up. It is literally your own blood pooling under gravity, with no muscle pump to carry it home. And it gets worse, because that pooled blood is blood that is not getting back to your heart. Less blood returning means your heart has less to pump out, which means less blood and oxygen reaching your brain. This is why people who stand still too long get lightheaded, dizzy, and pale. And it is the real reason soldiers standing at rigid attention sometimes crumple and faint. They are not exhausted from effort. They are standing so still that their second heart shuts off, their blood pools in their legs, their brain runs short, and the body simply pulls the plug. The very first thing a guard is taught to fight, this is to secretly wiggle the toes and flex the calves, to turn the pump back on, to move just a little, so the blood can come home. So look at what we have so far. When you stand still, two things go wrong at the same time. Your postural muscles are locked in a starving static hold, and your second heart, the calf pump, switches off, so your blood pools in your legs and stops circulating. Both of these come from one single fact. You are not moving, and both of them are instantly solved by the same thing: movement. The moment you walk, the static hold breaks into a rhythm and the blood floods back into the muscles. The moment you walk, the calf pump fires with every step and drives your blood home. Walking does not just avoid the problems of standing. Walking is the cure for them. If this is already changing how you think about standing still, take 1 second and subscribe, because the next piece is the one that genuinely surprises people. We have talked about your muscles and your blood, Now I want to show you something about balance itself. Because the truth is, when you stand still, you are not actually still at all. Here is something that sounds impossible. Standing still is not a state of rest. It is a continuous, active, never-ending act of balancing. And to understand why, you have to see your body the way physics sees it. Stand a broomstick upright on the palm of your hand and let go. It falls instantly. It cannot balance itself, because it is what physics calls an inverted pendulum, a tall weight balanced on top of a narrow base. That arrangement is fundamentally unstable. The slightest tilt and gravity grabs the top and pulls it over, faster and faster. The only way to keep that broomstick up is to constantly move your hand, chasing it, catching it, nudging it back, over and over, never stopping. The instant you hold your hand still, it falls. Your body is that broomstick. You are a tall column of weight, most of it high up in your torso and head, balanced on top of two small feet. Your center of mass, the point where all your weight effectively sits, is up around your belly button more than a meter above the small patch of ground your feet cover. By the laws of physics, you are an inverted pendulum, and you are inherently unstable. You should fall over. The only reason you do not is that, just like your hand catching the broomstick, your body is constantly making tiny corrections to catch itself. You cannot feel most of it, but it is happening every second you are on your feet. Your body is always tipping a hair forward, and a muscle in your calf fires to pull you back. Now you are tipping a hair backward, and your shin muscles fire to stop you. A little to the left, and your hip catches it. A little to the right, and it catches that too. Scientists can measure this. They call it postural sway, and it never stops. You are swaying in tiny circles all the time, falling a little and catching yourself a little, hundreds of times a minute. Standing still is not stillness. It is a frantic, invisible, never-ending dance to keep an unstable tower from toppling. Your muscles and your nervous system are working the entire time, and they are never allowed to switch off, because the moment they do, you go down. This is the third hidden cost of standing. It is not just that your muscles are holding, and not just that your blood is pooling. It is that your whole nervous system is locked in a continuous balancing act, firing constant small corrections, with no rest, because an inverted pendulum cannot be left alone for even a moment. You think you are doing nothing. Physically, you are running a control system at full alert, all the time, just to stay vertical. So now we have 3 reasons standing wears you down. Static muscle holds that starve themselves. A silent calf pump that lets blood pool. And a nervous system trapped in endless balancing. And here is the beautiful part. Walking does not just dodge these 3 problems. Walking turns each of them into an advantage. To see how, we have to ask the opposite question. Not why standing is so tiring, but why walking, which uses more energy, is so strangely easy. And the answer is some of the most elegant physics in your entire body. Start with the muscles. When you walk, no single muscle has to hold for long. Walking is a cycle, a repeating sequence of phases, and at each phase, a different set of muscles does its part and then hands off to the next. Your calf pushes off, then relaxes while your hip swings the leg forward, then your thigh catches your weight, then the other leg takes over. Every muscle gets a turn, and crucially, every muscle gets a rest between turns. The work is shared out and rotated, so no muscle is ever in a long static hold. Compare that to standing, where the same postural muscles hold the same position without relief the entire time. It is the difference between one worker forced to carry a heavy box without ever setting it down, and a line of workers passing the box hand to hand, each holding it for just a second. The total work can be the same. The strain on any one of them is completely different. Now the blood. We already saw this. Every step is a beat of your second heart. Walking is the calf pump running continuously, driving blood up out of your legs and back to your heart with every stride. So instead of blood pooling and stagnating, it is circulating powerfully. Your muscles get flushed with fresh oxygen. Your waist gets carried away. Your heart stays full. Your brain stays supplied. The very motion that defines walking is the thing that keeps your whole circulation healthy. Movement is not draining your blood. Movement is what your blood needs. And now balance, which is where it gets truly clever. You would think that walking, with all that motion, would be even harder to balance than standing. It is the opposite. Walking is not a series of stable, balanced poses. Walking is a controlled fall. Watch closely. To take a step, you let yourself tip forward. You actually begin to fall, and then you throw a leg out just in time to catch yourself. And the moment you land, you are already falling forward again into the next step. Walking is the act of falling forward and catching yourself, over and over, on purpose. And here is why that is genius. An inverted pendulum is terrible at standing still, but it is wonderful at falling in a chosen direction. Walking does not fight the instability of your body. It uses it. It lets gravity do the work of moving you forward, and simply guides the fall. You are not holding yourself up against gravity anymore. You are riding it. There is one more piece, and it is the most elegant of all. When you walk, your leg behaves like a pendulum. Once you swing it forward, it largely swings on its own, the way a pendulum on a clock keeps swinging with barely any push. You do not have to muscle your leg through the air. You give it a little start, and gravity and momentum carry it through the rest of the arc almost for free. And your body does something even smarter than that. With each step, your center of mass rises a little as you pass over your straight leg, like vaulting over a pole, and then falls again on the other side. As you rise, your motion stores energy, the way a ball thrown upward stores energy at the top. As you fall, that stored energy comes back and pushes you into the next step. Your body is constantly trading the energy of height for the energy of motion and back again, recovering a huge fraction of it with every stride, like a pendulum swinging back and forth almost for free. Walking is one of the most efficient ways of moving that nature has ever produced, precisely because it recycles its own energy. Standing has none of this. There is no rotation of muscles, no pump, no controlled fall, no pendulum, no energy recovery. There is only the hold. Just you, frozen, fighting gravity with raw static tension, and nothing to recycle, nothing to share, nothing to pump. Standing is all cost and no cleverness. Walking is a machine of recovered energy and shared load and self-correcting motion. That is the secret. Walking is not harder than standing. In every way that actually fatigues you, walking is easier, because walking is what your body was built to do, and standing still is the one thing it was not. So let us put the whole picture together, because once you hold all of it at once, the paradox dissolves and turns into something obvious. You feel more tired standing than walking, because tiredness is not about total energy. It is about local strain and stagnant blood, and a nervous system that cannot rest. Standing maximizes all three. It locks your muscles in starving static holds. It shuts off the pump that clears your legs, so your blood pools and your circulation stalls. And it traps your nervous system in an endless balancing act on an unstable frame. Walking erases all three by rotating the muscle load, by pumping your blood home with every step, and by turning your instability into smooth, energy-recovering, self-correcting motion. Standing is stillness fighting gravity. Walking is motion cooperating with it. Your body is a machine designed for the second one, and quietly punished by the first. And this is not just a curiosity. It changes how you should live in a body that has to spend hours upright. Think about who suffers most: the cashier locked behind a register, the surgeon standing motionless over a table for 6 hours, the factory worker at a fixed station, the guard at his post. It is not the people who walk all day who come home with throbbing legs and aching backs and swollen feet. It is the people who stand still. Standing all day is harder on your body than walking all day, and now you know exactly why. It also explains all the little things you do without thinking. Why you shift your weight from foot to foot when you are stuck standing in a line. That is your body instinctively breaking the static hold and giving each leg a turn. Why you rock, why you sway, why you lean on things. Why standing still feels almost unbearable, but standing while gently swaying feels fine. Your body is desperately trying to introduce movement, any movement, to switch the pump back on and let the blood flow. The fidgeting you were told to stop doing as a child is your body being smarter than you are. So if your work or your life keeps you on your feet in one place, here is what the physics tells you to do. Do not stand still. Stillness is the enemy, not standing. Shift your weight from one leg to the other often, so each leg gets to rest and the pumped blood keeps moving. Rise up onto the balls of your feet and lower back down. A few calf raises every little while to fire your second heart and drive the pooled blood up out of your legs. Take even a few steps when you can. Pace, rock, sway, anything that turns the static hold into rhythm. A standing desk does not help you if you stand frozen at it. It helps you when you move at it. Motion is the medicine. Stillness is the strain. And there is a deeper lesson hiding in all of this, one that goes beyond your legs. Your body, all the way down to its physics, was not built for stillness. It was built for motion. The blood needs the squeeze of moving muscle to come home. The muscles need the rhythm of contraction and release to stay fed. The balance system was tuned for the controlled fall of a step, not the frozen vigil of a pose. When you move, every one of these systems works the way it was designed to, in concert, recovering energy, circulating fuel, sharing the load. When you hold perfectly still, every one of them is pushed into a job it was never meant to do, and they all start to fail at once, quietly, while you stand there thinking you are resting. So the next time you are standing in a long line, feeling that strange, heavy tiredness creep up your legs, and wondering why doing nothing is wearing you out, remember what is really happening. You are not doing nothing. You are running starving muscles, a stalled pump, and an endless balancing act all at the same time. And the cure is not to sit down and give up. The cure is the very thing that felt like more work all along, to move. Because for a body like yours, built out of pumps and pendulums, and falling and catching, motion was never the effort. Motion was always the rest.